helped a lot of women refuse to understand. Well, I don't think I understand why we're making such a fuss. And I don't think I understand what's come of all of us. And I don't think I understand why we take this world for granted. I just want to get right back to Guitar Players Planet. You see it in the papers, you read it every day. The riots and the fires going on in South LA. The muggers and the government, they're all wanting the same thing. They're taking for your money and whatever else you bring. Well, I don't think I understand why we're making such a fuss. And I don't think I understand what's come of all of us. And I don't think I understand why we take this world for granted. I just want to get right back to Guitar Players Planet. Take me.
Hey everybody.
Good evening, everybody.
We made
What's
it.
up? We're back again for another wonderful episode of AstroWorld TV.
I think. Hey,
And
you
Eric's
muted all
out.
of a sudden.
Everybody's out but me? No.
Yeah, you were out.
I've been out.
Everybody know.
I've been
It's
out for a
hump
long
day.
time. Is it? Oh, jeez, it
It's
is.
hump
It's Wednesday.
day.
It's Wednesday. I don't even know what hump day is
Wednesday.
anymore.
And
He's already showing off the new
he's already
toys.
showing them off. He's already showing them off.
I'm telling you.
Show off your other
What else,
toy
dude?
then too, Tyler.
Which one? I got a lot.
I know. Ridiculous, man.
I know, it's crazy.
I need to have a
absolutely-
garage edition of stuff.
Wow.
That's what I need.
Oh
I got
man,
way too much.
Get-
you are nuts.
Get your
man.
audio's out
You're getting some good gear. You're getting some good gear.
I know.
Yeah,
What's
with no
going- I
clear
don't-
skies.
Yeah, you know what? I got clear skies, and I got a line of gear waiting to get here. So,
You're not gonna get any gear.
I'm not getting anything. It's ridiculous. It's going to be Christmas.
Not from Precise Parts anyway.
What is going on with that? How do you send somebody a picture of the scope with the label of the scope showing plainly on the picture and them telling you, I don't have that scope?
You don't have that scope.
I
But
don't
you
have-
don't have
I
that
actually wrote it on there. I wrote Esprit 80 on the side of the scope just so I can make believe that I have an Esprit.
That's what I thought. It's what it looked like to me.
It's
I think
actually
you
an
just need
Explorer 80.
Yeah, right.
So yeah,
Can I
so
call
just
Ron?
ventured- I personally just ventured into Precise Parts and ordered an adapter for the 152 that Tyler gave me. So it's basically
give
an
stuff?
adapter for you mount it for the so I can use my William Optics camera rotator and use my the reducer and the flattener, but it's basically tied into that, so I just basically screw it into the 3-inch focuser of the 152, and it's an M80, it's an M92 on the other side. So then I can screw in the camera rotator, which would be really handy. You know, I love that camera rotator; those are really good. I've got two of them for this
Like the Williams, right?
For this and for my GT71. So I've got both sizes. And it's
Now,
really, really good.
Is
Yeah,
yours
I
the
really enjoy it.
68 or
Yeah.
63 to 48?
Yep.
Yeah, it's 68 on both sides, I think, for the William Optics.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I
Yeah.
bought a adapter ring that goes the 68 to 48.
I got 4 adapters for the William Optics, so I mean, I got lines of them just sitting here. I got like $1,000 in Precise Parts that are sitting on a closet door. They're like now. I now play that game with the ring and the rod that you kind of kind of throw it, you know, with the show them the beer bottle trick.
Yeah,
You know?
win a prize.
There you
Come
go.
on. See if you can do it. Too slow.
Oh man.
But yeah. So now I'm waiting. Now I need something like I want to say it's 108 millimeter to screw on the back of the Esprit and go down to the collar for the Asado, so I could tighten it on.
Okay.
So you know, but I can't convince them that I have an Esprit because I took off the focuser as requested and took a picture of it without the focuser, and then I gave them the focuser end. Why they wanted the stock focuser end for the Esprit, I don't know, because I'm not attaching a stock focuser onto the Esprit. So I called them up and left a message, and they have yet to get back to me. I sent them an email saying I could send you the collar with the screw size, the thread size. I'll send them the collar. I mean, the collar's only this big.
Right.
I can send that to you to have the one side made, and they already have the Asado 2 on the other side. So all I got to do is make the tube side, and I have yet to get an answer from them. So we'll see.
Hopefully you get something soon. But I know that's got to be frustrating.
It's very frustrating, especially when I bought the original one from Primaluce, thinking that I had the part the whole time. And it turns out that that's the one for the Evo Star line and not the Esprit line, which they don't even make. So, which is kind of annoying.
Yeah.
Well, I think now that I'm waiting for a definite answer from Primaluce saying that they're making it, but I got an idea that they're going to end up making it just for consistency's sake to get because they make one for the 100 and the 120, but they don't make it for the 80 for whatever reason. However, they make the 80, 120, and 100 Evo Star adapters, which are those are the doublets, if you don't know, from Skywatcher.
Yeah. And are about in the 80s are very popular scopes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Those are very, very popular scopes, no matter almost with any brand. That's a pretty popular size of a refractor.
It's a good buy-in. It's a good entry-level scope.
It is.
I just listed my Explorer Scientific 102 ED CF this morning, actually, and I actually have.
It's not gone yet.
It's close. I got 2 people kind of looking at it that are just waiting to get clearance from their CFO, aka the wife's, to create a bank account and get it on.
We got a new watcher. Looks like we got Westlake from Ontario, who's new to the hobby. Scott's on with his Astro Playground tag. Astro for Dummies, Tyler. I guess all the only one Dan, I'm still waiting on an answer for the question I have. Which question is that, Mark? You had a question about.
He's referring to the comport question that he had.
I told him the answer. I actually sent them a link on how to fix it. I'm wondering if that's the same question.
Was it the comport or was it the GPS?
No, it's so what happens sometimes when they're doing testing over at Primaluce, as they're doing testing to make sure all of their peripherals work on each. They actually test each Eagle to make sure everything works for their own equipment. So all the Asados, the Arcos, whatever they have on there ready to go, they hook them up. And sometimes, every once in a while, they'll forget to delete the COM ports that were made. So there was like 23,
it is the G.
and your audio's out again. 20, I think he had over 20 COM ports on his Eagle
37 COM ports were open.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was crazy. And so I sent them a link. It's a Windows thing. And, what? What are you doing? What is
it's
that?
not
You
the
got
COM
flies?
ports. It's not the COM ports that he's talking about. It's the GPS and the iris. Like I thought.
I didn't get a question on that. I never got a question.
I think he sent it to.
Tom.
Shoot, I don't know if he sent it to Tom or the gentleman in Italy. I can't think of his name.
Felipe,
that's it. But I think that's what he's addressing he's wanting to know how it pulls the data from what is it, the GPS? How it pulls it.
well, and how it can be
Is it
accessed
using a
with
COM
other
port
pieces.
and how it can be accessed. Yeah.
So I'm sorry. I was actually texting Tom Bramwell as you were talking. So could you just go over that again? So what's the exact question?
Okay, so he has the GPS. He's wanting to know how
Right.
it's able to pull the data through ASCOM, I would assume. I'm sure he'll chime in because that's what he normally does. Yeah, the their ASCOM drivers do not work with it.
So I guess what is it not writing FITS headers, or is it what's it not doing? Is it not recognizing it at all? I mean,
I think Tom needs to be aware of the issue. That way, if Mark needs to get a hold of Tom, I don't know personally.
right? I understand, but like we should have a little more. It's just that the ASCOM drivers don't work. What exactly is it not doing? You know, that's the whole thing. I'm sure he gave Tom more information than me, but I don't know. I haven't played with the 4 yet. What's that?
He may not have sent it to Tom. He may have sent it straight to Felipe, and that may be where the underlying issue is.
That probably is. Tom's been pretty. Whenever I had a question about the 4, he's been pretty responsive to me, at least.
Yeah, Tom has for you, but for us random general people that aren't Dan Higgins.
Sorry, not everyone could be me. If I could put a pic of the error, I would.
Hey, Mark, why don't you just send me what? Mark, send me the question, or send Dan the picture or something, so we can get this straightened out. So you'll quit.
Yeah. You know, in all fairness to Mark, and I know how it is when you have a nice piece of equipment that either doesn't come or doesn't work.
Right.
You know, you know, I can see how frustrating that could be if it's not doing what or performing as it's expected to. So you know, that's and again, it is a new piece of technology, and I you know, even with a new piece of technology, sometimes there are bumps to run out and some kinks in the road, and you know, it's only when you get it out into mass usage where sometimes these bumps show up, and that's just technology that's inherent to everything. So, so it'll get fixed, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So, Eric, you're imaging tonight, or what?
Yes, I am imaging. I am doing now on the 294 mm, and let me see if I can pull it up here, see if it gives me any data. Let me just share my screen here.
All right, Mark, I'm going to send you some information.
So right now I'm 7 into 50 of the of HA on Thor's helmet.
Yeah.
And so far
it's upside down.
Yeah. And guiding is guiding's not bad. It's good.
Yep. Now you said originally you were having issues?
Yeah, I was having some issues. It was getting elongated when I was doing a 5-minute. And and you can see here, if I can zoom in a little bit, some of them, they do look maybe a little elongated, but I'm wondering if that's maybe actually the
is that focus?
The distance, you know, for my camera and the flattener.
Can you get closer?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't get any closer with this.
That's fine.
Because I'm using the
if you want, if you want, Eric, I'll send you my. Well, I mean, Dan, you use CCD Inspector, don't you?
Yep.
Yeah. Either send me or Dan a FITS file, and I can run it through CCD.
Because I can, you know. Matter of fact, here, because I think I can save it because I've got some copies here. So what I'll do is I've got what is that application?
ASTAP.
ASTAP, yeah.
Yep.
Astrometric stacking program.
Just run it.
Yeah, I've got to find it. I thought I had it.
Yeah, you did. We spoke about it on a prior show.
We spoke about it in the past. So I will just need to locate it, and then I can run the a check on the tilt. So it could be my distance on my.
It could be.
Because I thought I was at around 58 millimeter backspace, and that could have something to do with it. It could be my backspacing.
Okay.
Because because you can see right here, guiding is really good.
Yeah, your guiding's awesome.
Yeah, so I'm not
just for the people that don't know what ASTAP may or may not be, ASTAP is a free a stacking program, but it also comes with a scaled down version of CCD Inspector for free. So you're able to use that and run a FITS file through there and get some specs on your photos, such as tilt issues, curvature issues, stuff like that. And it's free. So if you don't want to spend whatever it is, $375, whatever it is for the full-blown CCD inspector, then you could get this, and at least you get some starting data on how good and how your curvature and your tilt is affecting your photos. So and it's good for free. So it's ASTAP, ASTAP, and you just look at it and it says Astrometric Stacking Program, I think, if I remember right, and look it up and download it. It's free. Grab it, and you can run your files through it. See if your spacing is good for your flattener.
It's also a free way to kind of blink your images.
Another, and you don't have to spend $250 to blink them.
Yeah.
Sorry, Eric, couldn't resist.
Oh man. Nice.
Yes, you can blink your images with that.
It's actually a really convenient way to look at your FITS files without having to open up like PI or have other software. So I've actually recommended that to a lot of people that come up asking questions about, well, it's coming up black and white. Well, you haven't gone through and debayered them yet, so you're not going to get color.
Yep.
But you also need to start being able to have a FITS viewer. There's not a ton of FITS viewers that are really good. That one does happen to work pretty well. It is going to be mono because it doesn't debayer it natively. I believe you can apply debayering in it now. But
You can.
it really it's more about seeing what your image looks like, not what the colors are yet. So highly recommended if you can have it.
Eric, reconnect your camera.
Oh, okay.
He just wants to show off his guiding.
Yeah, I don't want to see that anymore. You're gonna make me want to throw up.
See, I've never really understood, why does the graph space apart so far?
It's a way that they've got it's how their metric is measuring, even though they're really close. For some reason, all the graph lines don't actually meet up, which is why I've learned not to heavily rely on the graph. I rely on the data.
Right. I rely on their numbers.
Yeah, so they'll tell you flat out if you ask them online, rely on the numbers, not the graph.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because that one was for showing its lower on my declination, and everything's balanced well, so I really don't pay attention to the graph.
Yeah. No.
So I just downloaded ASTAP again. So I'm going to see. I'm going to fire it up.
So in referencing the ASI error there, I only really reference the graph to look at the error correction when it's taking and adding correction to either the raw or deck. You can show or not show that datum. That'll tell me if I have a weight imbalance or if I'm getting a lot of wind.
Okay.
Because it'll show that it's having to do massive corrections, because it'll put a hard bar as opposed to the line graph to show that it's doing a lot of correction. And if it's doing a lot of correction in one way, you usually know that you've got a weight imbalance. If it's bouncing back and forth, it's typically a wind issue. And if you start looking at your files, you'll see that you've either got trailing or that you've stopped tracking.
Yeah.
So it's a good way.
Okay,
to
so
indicate.
hold on here, Jason. Wait a minute. So let me do this again. So I'm gonna let me do this. So because I'm gonna share this. So help me understand this then. So if I go here, so like my deck here right now, looks like it's doing a lot of corrections.
It does
So
look
does that
like
mean
it's
like
doing a lot
my
of
deck is
corrections.
slightly imbalanced?
Typically, it would tell me that that it is seeing an imbalance and it's correcting for it, meaning that you're probably, I would guess, west heavy.
Okay. Okay.
But without being there to physically do it or to check it, that would be my first inclination. The fact that it's consistent and it would be about the duration of what the graph is separated, it could just be an error in the metric because it's roughly what the two graph lines are separated by.
Right.
And if you're looking at the graph datum, it's showing a -4 spread, roughly.
Yep.
Which is roughly what your error correction is. So that would tell me that it's just an error in their plotting, not necessarily a full weight imbalance. If it was spiking real heavy like the RA, which isn't bad, that's normal. That's usually a wind event that it's seeing a 2 to 6, the really long spike that's about ready to go off the screen right now.
Like
is usually showing you that you're getting a little spike in wind or something made it have to do a quick correction. But as long as the blue ones aren't making a ton of continual, I would ignore the declination error correction.
Okay.
This instance,
yeah, because pretty much with RA, I'm pretty much right at zero.
Well, and
seconds.
technically you are too, because not looking at the graph, I'm seeing that you're well within the confines.
Yeah.
So I mean that's impeccable guiding for what you're doing.
Yeah.
And it's technically overkill because anything under really 1.5 when you're at 120 millimeter scopes, when you're at the 100, when you're at like the 152, 1215 millimeter, then you want to be closer in that 1.0 range.
Right.
But anything sub 1.0 is phenomenal guiding, even with fairly long scopes. So don't concern yourself with too low.
Let me ask you this, because you've got the 170 and I've got the 160. With the 152, was it necessary for you to purchase any additional counterweight?
Yes. So and that's one of the next videos I'm actually going to work on, is explaining to people that you need to have roughly 5 to 8% more counterweight than the weight of your OTA and all the gear. So we'll use this because I know the metric. The 152 is 38 pounds. With the payload that I had on it, I was at about 42.5 pounds. I have 48 pounds of counterweight.
Okay.
It's not much.
Okay, so
but that's also putting all of my counterweight very close to the shaft.
For me to get this thing mounted then, because I'm gonna have to get. Right now, I've got 32 pounds of counterweight, so I've got to get another. I got to get either another 11 pounder or get another 20 pounder.
I will tell you the same thing that I have led Mark and Tyler to. Astrophysics.com, astro-physics.com actually makes their own counterweights. Hey, Tyler, you want to go get one of those buttes?
Yeah.
More toys.
You know what? If that's the case, because I think we talked about this.
Yeah, we talked about it last week.
Yeah, we did.
It's just in the same area where I live. So if it's possible, I could call them and maybe they may have some counterweights there in stock.
Well, that's the really cool thing about the way that they operate.
If they have to ship it to me, I don't know. But
well, that's the really cool way with how they operate. They have billet setting there. When you order it, they turn the weight that you want. So they have set weights. For my CEM 70G, it's a 1.125 shaft.
Okay. Yeah. Yep. Same as mine.
Yep. So They offer 3 stock weights in that weight class: a 6,
There you go.
an 11, and a 14.
You can tell it's been machined. Well,
Or
you
6,
can't
9,
tell in
and
the
14.
picture,
But they
but
physically
there's
turn
definitely a
it.
line.
It's perfectly balanced, so they turn it like a rotor. So you don't have to worry about an uneven weight balance, that maybe there was an imperfection in the weight itself. It's actually weight tuned. They're phenomenal pieces of hardware, and it wasn't something I was initially seeking out, other than I was looking for availability because of time frame.
Yeah,
All of the
they're nice.
Ioptron weights were out of stock everywhere, so they said it was in stock. So I called him up. I'm like, "Is it really in stock? Because everybody's out of counterweights." And he's like, "We make them. You order it. We have it shipped within 48 hours, typically, unless we're backlogged." Tyler ordered his
They're not.
Thursday.
Ordered it on Thursday, got it on
Monday.
yesterday.
Yeah,
Or
Tuesday.
yeah, Monday.
No.
I got them Tuesday.
Nice. And like I said, since I'm in the area of astrophysics, I'll just call them tomorrow morning and ask them and see if there's even a possibility I can just drive by.
Right on
when
their
the
site,
order's ready.
there is a will call pickup. So if you order it on the site, you can will call it for pickup, and they'll let you know when to come by.
Perfect.
So,
And that's
not
what I
that I
do.
want to do plugs, but they're a really good company. They've been extremely helpful, and I don't want to
Yeah.
hesitate leading people to them. Mark just bought
Yeah.
the same set that Tyler did, so they added a 9 and a 14 each, I believe, which gives them plenty of flexibility depending on different OTAs that they're going to use. And it's a very stable platform, and the stainless steel is nice. It doesn't pit, doesn't mar, won't rust. So it's a solid product, and I'm very happy to be going out and cheerleading for them. So I think it's really cool what they've done.
Yeah, they're a top notch company, and I tell you, their mounts are insane.
Oh yeah, the Mach ones
The
and all that.
Mach,
Yeah,
the Mach 2 and the GTOs, they're insane.
Yep, they are.
And they're in the price point. They have the price point to prove it, but and the
Oh
wait
yeah,
list.
Well,
well, when you got the results, you could charge that price. So
yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah.
Now, I haven't been blessed with one of their mounts, but I've heard nothing but good things. But
Yep.
Yeah.
I can speak very
And just
highly
if
about their
anyone's
customer
wondering,
service.
yeah. If anyone's wondering about the counterweight pricing, looks like the 1 1/4 inches are about $95.
For what weight?
Let's see. So that's a 6, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a 6. The 9 is 115, and the 14 is 145. So.
And that's fairly uniform, plus or minus a little bit. Their shipping costs are very reasonable considering the weight that they're shipping. And they ship each weight in its own box. They won't stack weights. So,
Nice.
and they're very well packaged.
Nice.
Good.
Tyler probably doesn't have his packaging, but it's like, so that counterweight's probably like a 6-inch diameter.
Yeah, I do.
It came in a 12 by 12 by 5-inch thick box, and it's all high density foam. It's very well packaged.
Cool. So, has anybody had any playtime with WBPP 2.0 or?
Not yet.
No. You got to actually image to do that stuff.
Yeah, see, you actually need to do that. And just in case anybody is wondering that's watching the show why there is a clock underneath everything. So we figured out a way to cut down our time on the show as after our last 3-hour or so marathon last week. Oh, that was cool.
That must have been Tyler.
Nice. All right, bring it. There you go. That's why he's our social media specialist.
Yeah.
Now he's going to be our sound effects guru too.
Yeah, and that's an SFX guy.
But so apparently we're going to end the show when Jason's daughter, who has been like I guess AstroWorld guest number 6.
I guess.
think. So she's the 6th honeymoon, I guess. No, 7. She's not lucky. She's lucky number
she's a
7.
She's a
lucky number
spokesmodel.
Well, she closes all my videos, and I've had her steal Dan's tagline because I am co-branding with AstroWorld TV on the content that I build. So she's been chomping at the bit to want to close the show, and she tried a couple weeks ago and got a little bit of stage fright because she completely blanked on the line. But she's been working relentlessly for the last 2-3 weeks, so she's excited to come on tonight and hopefully nail it for us. So
I'm sorry, I forgot her name again. I'm sorry.
Abigail.
Abigail.
Yep.
So when it becomes Abigail's bedtime is when we go bedtime. So
It's actually past her bedtime, but we're letting her stay up because it's not a school night for her tomorrow. So.
Okay. Oh, nice. There you go. So we'll have to keep it on Wednesday nights, so there's no school on Thursdays, I guess.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, because she goes right now. Next year she'll be in kindergarten, so she'll be 7 days a week. But I figure by then I'll be able to video record it so that we can just play it as part of our closing.
Nice. So there we go. So that's the way to kind of cut us off.
Yeah, right.
Because we can talk all night.
Yeah.
So IP for AP, and if none of you know who IP for AP is, it's a website. It's actually a paid subscription. You could get it for $99 a year, or I want to say it's like $10 a month, if I remember right.
It's $10 a month and $99 a year.
Yeah. So it's IP for AP, and people like I'll throw some names out there. Pete Proul, who runs IP for AP, Warren Keller does a lot of the videos along with Ron Breacher as well. They all do videos, and they're also the ones that have been hosting the Pix Insight for newbies for $35. They've been doing one video or actually a tutorial every month for the past, 6 months. And they're really good for $35. You really can't beat it. And they allowed me to, because there was a couple of things with WBPP 2.0. And first of all, let me thank Pete and the people over at IP for AP for allowing us to use this footage. But there was one thing that we didn't go over last week when we were talking about it, because there wasn't a lot of information about it. But since then, IP for AP have come out with now it's a 3-part tutorial, but part 2 talks about the grouping window. And it allows you to kind of do something with Pix Insight that before you really weren't able to do it. You were able to do it, but it wasn't very easy. So now it allows you to add sessions. So if you have night 1, night 2, night 3, you could actually point night 1, night 2, night 3 to night 1, night 2, night 3 flats, darks, and bias separately, and come out the other side with a single light frame.
Nice. Okay.
So we do have a video. It's about 15 minutes, and that's by Warren Keller. Did I butcher his last name? I think it was Warren Keller. Yeah. And we'll take a look at that. We'll come out the other side, and we'll take some questions if we can answer them.
We are back, and as promised, we're going to look at a few scenarios to see what this control panel and groupings are all about. Now, this is going to be kind of an interesting scenario. I'm going to click the generic Add Files button, and I'm going to navigate to a couple of directories, a couple of folders that I created. Session 01 and Session 02. So let's pretend that you have imaged this Horsehead Nebula a year apart, and you want to load up 2 different sessions with their accompanying calibration files, but at the same time you want to ultimately integrate and get one master RGB file out of these DSLR raw images. So again, this is a scenario that I created for demonstration purposes, and as I said in the last first part, myriad scenarios possible with astro imaging, right? But here's session 1, and you'll notice that I have bias frames, dark frames, flat frames, and light frames. And notice they're in color, and that's really a Windows thing, right? Because I have selected pure raw in the file format explorer for PI not to debayer images when they're opened in the workspace. But Windows utility is giving us a low quality thumbnail of a debayered file. But I'm going to choose all of these, and I'm going to open all of them. Now, if you're a DSLR user, or if you've been with us for a while and have watched the tutorials, for instance, on BPP, on WBPP version 1.0, you're going, well, Warren, you told us that we can't use this generic add files button for camera raw because they don't have self-identifying FITS header information to say, oh, I'm a bias frame, I'm a dark frame, I'm a flat frame, I'm a light frame, and that you would have to use these individual buttons to place those files on the correct tab in the script, right? So very good. You get a check mark for remembering that. But notice something else with me, that the files are named. So you've got bias, dark, flat, named, right? And I want you to bear that in mind, and also want you to remember that these are coming from a folder called Session 1. So let's open those files. So wow, so here's the first part of the script that's now smarter. It's actually reading the names of those files and correctly assigning them to the bias tab, to the dark tab,
and then once I'm done, we're going to go to
and
that.
to the flats tab, which is pretty cool. So the name is placing those files where they need to be. Now, if we had a folder called bias, and a folder called dark, and a folder called flat, the script could read those directories as well, even if the file names were missing, and correctly place them as well.
Daddy's got 2 monitors.
But clicking over to my lights tab, where are they? Well, do you remember that in the folder, those weren't named, and they weren't in a directory called lights either to give a clue
this is
to
one
the
computer.
script. So in that case, we would have the slight inconvenience of using the add lights button and just go ahead and grab those, and of course they'll load where they need to be. Now let's slip over to the control panel, and you'll notice that groups are now established. So you have a bias group, a dark group, a flat group, and a light group. And if we click on groups, they'll highlight in orange. And depending on what they are, like the bias doesn't really generate any options here. The dark isn't doing that right now either. But when I get over to the flats, we can see, 15 frames, binned 1 by 1. And we've now got some options over here on the right hand side. Here's our light frames, and we've got additional options there too. So let's look at those flat frames. So right now it says that it can use that bias and that dark frame. They're checked in green. These are green, which is good. But notice under a field called CFA images that the answer is no. And what does CFA stand for? Color Filter Array. These are Bayer matrix images from a DSLR, so they are CFA, right? Bayer is one type of a color filter array. So that should be a clue that I need to make some changes. But before I do that, remember we pulled this from a folder called Session 01, and that we had a second folder called session 02 that we're pretending were taken a year apart. So I'm going to come over here to grouping keywords, and I'm going to enter session as one of the keywords that I'm interested in using. I'm going to click the plus sign, right? And that's going to enter here. And the moment I do that, look, we've now got the bias frames loaded so far as session 01. Same for the darks, same for the flats, same for the lights. Okay, so let's wait a moment and let's go back and add some more files. And this time we're going to navigate over to the O2 folder. And we're going to grab all of these, right? Bias, dark, flat, light. We're going to have the same problem with the lights again, but I'm going to click open. And now, look, we've got a session 02 bias frames. Same for darks. Same for flats. And again, those lights are missing. So let's get those. Add lights. And now they've been broken out as well into a separate session. Remember the add custom feature. That would be another way of doing that. You could add files, navigate to the lights, say that they are indeed light frames. Typically don't need to fill in this information and click OK. So that would be an alternate way to do that. So let's move back over to the control panel. So now we can see that we've got 12 bias frames here for session 01, darks, flats, lights, and we've got 13 bias frames at 1 by 1 binning for session 2. Here's 15 frames of darks for session 2, 16 frames of flats for session 2 again, and 10 frames of lights for session 2. Here it is over here. You've got these slider bars. Okay, so that's great. So now in theory, we're going to be able to use the bias and the dark and the concurrent flats, I should say the contemporaneous flats, to calibrate the session 01 from, let's say, 2019. And then we're going to be able to use the newer calibration frames to calibrate the 2020 light frames. And so you can do multiple passes in one run. You can even calibrate different cameras at the same time. But of course, remember that ultimately on the lights tab, we're only going to be able to, depending on what the data is. In this case, we can indeed register all of them after calibration, and we can indeed integrate one master file out of it. Obviously, if we're throwing data in there from 2 different cameras, potentially we could if it were the same object. So we don't want to get too crazy here. But let's look at the control panel again. So again, the bias frames aren't triggering any options here, nor are the darks. But when I get to flats, notice that again, it says no for CFA images, so it is believing them to be monochromatic images. And so the first thing I want to do is come over here to CFA settings, and that's why that doesn't appear over here and in the old DeBayer section anymore. And I say, yeah, these are indeed CFA images. And this is a newer feature, not brand new, but separate CFA flat scaling factors. That's a perfectly good thing to do to a one-shot color flat frame. So I want to select that. So I've got, and that lights up yes, notice. So I've got 2 ways I can proceed now. I can either do the same thing for here, CFA images, blah, 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 or I can just simply click this button, apply to all flat frames. This operation will apply the same CFA settings of the selected group to all flat groups in the session. Are you sure you want to proceed? And now that's lit up red, green, blue as well. So very, very cool. And there's our session 1, session 2. Now we've got to come over here to our light frames, and it's going to be a very similar thing. These are, and let me show you that monochrome black and white box there. I'm going to say, yes, these are CFA images. I want to debayer them, and because this is a DSLR, I can use the auto setting. If it was CMOS, I'd have to choose one of these more than likely. Some cameras do report their pattern. And we want to use, in most cases, the high quality variable number of gradients setting here. And same deal, I can either apply to light frames or I can independently check CFA for that. So let's apply to light frames again. And bam, so that's looking good. Now the status is throwing an exclamation point. And it says that flat frames exposure differs from the master dark's exposure by more than 5 seconds. Now, of course, the master dark has not been made yet from the individual dark frames, but it will be. And when that master frame is about to be used for dark subtraction, it's telling me that it differs by more than 5 seconds and that I can optimize in order to achieve a better dark current estimation. Now, if I wished to bias scale the master dark to the flat frames, I must select Optimize Master Dark for the flat groups. I also have the option to choose Optimize Master Dark for the light groups. Now this example is a CMOS-based DSLR, not a CCD camera. Many CMOS-based cameras do better by not optimizing. If this is true for your CMOS or DSLR, take flat darks of the same duration as your flats and do not optimize the master dark for flat or light groups. For CCD cameras or well-behaved CMOS-based cameras, you could choose to calibrate the flats with either the optimized master dark, which requires a master bias, a flat dark, or the master bias. If you chose to use the master bias to calibrate short flat frames, and it's not a good idea for longer narrowband flats, for instance, you would deselect calibration settings dark for the flat groups. Hope that's clear. So this is going to blow your mind. So here we are in the flats, and I'm going to choose Show Calibration Diagram here. And voila, we now get a graphical representation of what are going to happen to those flat frames, right? So the master bias will be removed from the master dark and from the flats, and the dark will be bias scaled to the flat, and we'll wind up with a calibrated flat. So this is a very nice feature, and that's going to exist for every one of these groups, right? We're going to see the same thing there. Let's get to the light frames though, and show calibration diagram. And now we see master dark, light frames, the master bias, scales the dark to the lights, gets divided by the master flat, and we wind up with a calibrated light frame. So this can be very helpful. So no more warnings. Everything's looking pretty good. And at this point, we could click our diagnostics. It says everything's good to go. And we could start the run.
That was awesome. I'm hearing tan. Can you hear me, Eric? Okay. You're in the same group. So Dan's on. Oh, no. Now he is. There he is.
There it is.
There you are.
I muted the masters while we were in the video.
I'm back.
That's awesome, and thanks to those guys at IP for AP for letting us use that. That's really cool. Here's one thing that for me, and I'm more than likely I'm going to use this script. But for anybody who's really new to PI, I would highly recommend that they go through all of the steps that you're basically going to be doing in the script. Okay, this script does. Because I feel that you would want it would be really valuable for you to do the manual process and understand what each module does before really, so you can have that better understanding. Still use this, but if you're new to PI, I would learn how to do the star alignments, how to do cosmetic correction if you need to, how to do your debayering, all of those, your integration, all those steps. So you have a better understanding of what that script actually does, and just to get a better understanding of Pix Insight. Because you can do that. I mean, these scripts are great, to simplify things, but sure. I have read in quite a few Facebook posts and in some forums that this shouldn't substitute or really you really shouldn't use it as a substitute for learning those processes, because
I agree with you. Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. I know that back a while ago there was a statement somewhere that that you could get a better result by doing the process manually as opposed to using a script. Now, I was also told just recently on the last the intermediate Masters of Pix Insight class that just happened 2 weeks ago, that because of the I guess the enhancements of WBP 2.0 and the added functionality of the processes behind the scenes in the script, that the difference now, unless if you're an extreme pixel peeper, you're not going to see a large difference from using that. But to Eric's point, learning the processes and how they work is instrumental, and especially in understanding if you have an issue or something you need to troubleshoot. All of a sudden you run your WBPP and you're waiting 15 minutes and then it gets to integration and fails on you.
Right.
You're going to get an understanding of where that failure happened by looking through the process console and then going and finding out where that issue happened. You're not going to have that knowledge if you don't do what Eric suggested and learn each process, the integration, the debayer, the calibration of your flat, dark, and bias frames. I'm sorry, just your calibration frames in general, and the star alignment. So it's really important to understand how these things work and how they get it to work together. So if you do have an issue, you can turn yourself around and fix it, and at least have some knowledge and a starting ground on how to fix the problem, so you can move forward with the script later on as you get more proficient with all the rest of the processes. Yeah.
Yep. So, but no, I think this is a huge, I won't necessarily say a game changer, but this is a pretty cool script and a pretty cool way, to, especially now they're adding sessions, and you can go back for, if you have old data, and you want to, use that data to, along with your new data to integrate this. I mean, I think these are really cool. Now, just, I'm putting my APP hat on here for a second. We got to do this.
Yeah, I know. And Jason was telling me before the show, I was like, hey, well, you know what? It is what it is. I mean, yeah, you're right. You do that already. And you know what? In all fairness, Deep Sky Stacker already has this, and it's free. So, I mean, should it have come out with this beforehand? Yeah. It would have saved me many, many hours, and maybe I was doing this wrong, and it's definitely a strong possibility that I was. But when I first learned PixInsight, my understanding was that if you're doing multiple nights, you could do the calibration only part to all of your lights to, like, let's say night 1, event 1, and have everything calibrated to that one frame and registered to that one frame, and continue as you go on night by night by night. And then you would have to integrate them all. Right? Now you could sit there and do 2 or 3 nights, 4 nights, 5 nights, if you want to stay up all night watching it. And you could dump them all in as section 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and come out the other side with that one master light if you're doing one filter. So I think that's pretty cool.
It is. So I have to see PixInsight, doing a few things that, other programs have already been doing.
No. What are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
So,
well, and that's kind of what I was talking with Dan before we started the show. Is like, yeah, it's great. They've got this in WBPP2. I do this in APP. Inherently.
Yeah. And other programs have had this functionality for a while, and it's strange that they haven't had it for. I mean, PixInsight been around a while.
Yeah. Well, and I don't want to dog on it because what they're doing is phenomenal. No. It is a huge step forward in what can be done in PixInsight. To me, it's very cumbersome compared to how I'm doing it in my current process of doing it in APP, because I just assign each of the calibration frames to the imaging session, because I can do a multi-session entry. So I can tell it and assign lights to each of the sessions. I can rename the session dates or whatever I needed to do to make it make sense. Apply the calibration frames to each session, and then tell it to integrate, and I can do it all. I can do per session. So I typically do per session and all, just as a checksum to make sure that once I've done it, if there's something wrong in the data set, I don't want to be trying to go through and find in all of it which one went bad. I want to find out which day it went bad and start parsing it down to find the bad part. Typically it'll throw up an alert to let you know, hey, something's not going to work here. But if you see something dramatically off, then you can make adjustments, take those pieces out, then rerun it, and overwrite that data.
Yeah. So nice. So thank you for IP for AP for giving us the information. I think it's going to be really, really cool. Hopefully we could use some more of their information in the future. And they're a great resource. Check them out.
Yeah.
Now, I have something that I want to bring up. I haven't had a chance to really talk to you guys a little bit about. I haven't had a chance to really talk to you guys about it. But I was on Facebook just today, and a post was made about the new ASI 294 monochrome Pro camera, and posing the question of has anybody done a image using both the mono and the color, its color counterpart. And I told them myself, no, I haven't done it yet. That's what I'm going to be working towards that. And they're asking me if I'm going to be able to do a video on it. I will, once I understand the processes. But that's one thing that I've been, I'm looking forward to learning and also figuring out. And there's kind of also been a little bit of a debate or going back and forth on Facebook about this slightly, is will you save time? As far as, opinions of certain people. Are you going to save time? Because I made a comment that says, I think this will save a lot of time to do, say, your HA, LRGB, or simple LR, or something to that effect, where you can take your monochrome camera and do your HA or illuminance, and then and if you have that, and take your one-shot color, and then do your RGB all at once. And the question was, would that save time? And that's the comment I made, is this going to save time? So I've had some debate, some people asking me, saying, no, I don't think it will save time. I mean, you're going to do the same thing with RGB and stuff like that. So who knows? But one thing I am looking forward to, and I think I mentioned that we had a little bit of a talk a while back, is when I got this camera, is how am I going to integrate both cameras, even though I'm using the same scope. So that's one thing that I'm going to be learning, is how to integrate both of these. And I did shoot an email, or I did make a post on the actual Pixel processor forum. And one thing that they were mentioning was to try to make it a little bit easier is to add in all the sessions. But however, no, I'm sorry. They said do each of them separately. Do your monochrome separately, and then do your one-shot color separately, 2 separate, sessions. But to go down to the bottom, I believe it is step 2, and to split the channels. And so you split the channels while you're integrating it, and then it splits all 3 channels out, and then do your HA or your luminance session in that integration, and then do a combined, like an RGB combine, or using that RGB combine or the RGB combine tool to do this. So I'm going to give this a shot and see how this does, because I'm kind of curious on how it works, and if it works well, I'd like to, try to repeat the process and do a video on it. So I think it'll be kind of interesting to do. But what do you guys think? Do you think that, in your opinion, do you think it would save time if you had these 2 cameras and doing 2 separate sessions, one with your one-shot color, and then doing your luminance and your HA, on a different session? Do you think it would save you time?
There is some fairly sound theory in the principle. I know Mark has been working on that with the 6200, both the MC and the MM. And there is some sound stuff there. One of the things he was saying is that with the OSC, shoot in bin 2x2 for your OSC, and then use your mono to really pull in and do all your HA for Lumina. What did he say here? Save time. Use the OSC and bin 2x2 for your RGB, and your mono narrow band at bin 1x1, which will help sharpen all of it.
Interesting.
Yeah, okay. I know that's a fairly common practice. Some of the higher end guys that are deep level in this on AstroBin and stuff like that have posted similar technique patterning. So there is some sound principle to it. I haven't delved into the mono yet, so I don't really want to speak to that part of it because I haven't gotten there. I did actually borrow the 1600 mono with a filter wheel from Mark to delve down that rabbit hole here soon. Been doing Dark Library and things like that lately, but I'm in the process of swapping over scopes, so I haven't been imaging. I'm hoping to get out, if not tonight, tomorrow. Probably tomorrow at this point.
Sorry, I have a horse running around in my background here. I'm hearing some galloping.
It's a Chicago Derby.
Yeah, I hear a Titan roaming around.
Nice. But yeah, the only thing that I was using the one-shot color for right now is I'm not doing a lot of one-shot color imaging per se. And I know we've spoken about this before, because of my lovely light-polluted backyard. the Bortle 8.5 to 12. You know, and so I'm kind of like doing almost strictly narrowband at this point. But if you do narrowband a lot, the star color gets all funky and it gets all kind of, yeah, it gets weird. So I've been using, well, I will be using if I ever get it running, the one shot color, the 294 MC Pro that I got, to be doing just star color and taking the star color and dumping it into my narrowband image. So
Okay.
you'll have natural star color with
Yep.
the narrowband.
With the
color
narrowband, with the narrowband nebulosity and everything. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So you won't have those either violet stars or blasted out orange stars or whatever you got going on. I mean, I literally did a version of the what was it, the rosette, and I don't know, maybe I just had too much oxygen because all the stars were like green. Yeah, you know, so all the stars were green. It just looked too green. I just dumped the whole project because I just didn't like the way it looked. But if I had the nebula, I mean, I could probably do a starless and it'd probably look cool.
Yeah.
But, you know, the nebulosity, the definition of nebulosity came out awesome. And if I could just get the RGB data from the star color and dump that back onto the Hubble palette that I have already, I mean, and you think about it, if you're doing just one shot color, you know, for just for stars, you're talking about maybe like 2 or 3 hours is all you're really going to need to get the star color.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, and one of the cool things too, I know you're talking about making the rosette starless, and I've seen people do it, and it just looks so weird taking out all the stars.
They all look weird.
Yeah, well,
especially when you've got that beautiful star cluster right there in the middle.
Right there, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's such a signature of that particular celestial body that to me it just kind of it devalues what you're doing. Yep. Now, if you're going to pull it out and do like you said, put 2-3 hours of just raw OSC data on it, that'd be different.
Yeah, that's what I plan on doing.
You know, inverting the mass, pulling the nebulosity out, and putting the star field in on your.
You know, you don't even have to do that anymore.
No.
Sean Nielsen just put on a video. I guess about 6 months ago. I'm gonna screw up the timeline on this, but there's a video out there on how to add RGB stars to a narrowband data, and he just plopped them right on top. He literally put them right on top. And let me tell you, if you haven't seen the video, check it out because you're gonna be like, "What?" You're gonna be crazy, and you'll be like, because my process was the same way that you're talking about, Jay, and you know, where you would actually pull the stars out, save the nebulosity, do the nebulosity, and plop the stars back in.
Yep.
Right. That's it. And that would be my process, but I haven't tried his process yet, but I'm looking forward to giving it a shot because it was pretty cool.
Well, and kind of talking along the same lines, I have a piece I'd like to kind of show off a little bit.
No.
No?
Oh, wait. Jason's running the show, so he gets to do whatever he wants.
There, now we get it. It's the only time I get this type of power. Come on. So I will preface this with the fact that this is not a final product. This is just a stacked image with calibration frames.
Okay.
But this is the Leo Trio with the 152 that I've been using with Explore Scientific. So this is 2 days of data. It's roughly 16 hours of data. Stacked with calibration frames. This is using the 2600 color. As you can tell, I was dithering and 2 different nights of data set. But this is just calibration frames. I haven't put it in and done any stretching. Haven't taken the green out.
That looks great, though, man.
I was pretty dang shocked at this. So, this is really, to me, showing off what you can really do with a good scope and good skies.
Oh yeah.
This was all on the CEM 70G. I was pretty darn surprised how good the color came out natively. I'm a little bit blown out in the cores of the two spiral galaxies, M66 and M65. But overall, to me, that's a pretty darn good baseline image. I've got a ton of processing to do to finish the cleanups and things like that I still need to get
but
better at,
you're well on your way, bro. That's a great starting spot.
But I just wanted to show that off quick and show that I'm still working on stuff. I just have sucked at processing lately. So, but that was all done in APP. So that's a direct FITS file turned into a JPEG, so that I could export it. So there, a little bit of JPEG noise and stuff like that from the export. But I was pretty happy with the way that came out. So, also trying to get Eric to salivate, seeing as he's got the 152 now, and the stuff that you can do with that 152.
And I can't wait. I can't wait. But to your point, like we were talking a bit before, I think even before the show, I'm going to have to get another counterweight.
Yep.
Because, so I am going to have to, so I'm going to call over to Astrophysics and get one ordered and run over there and pick it up.
Now, it's not a must because you're right on that cusp. But my rule of thumb is I want to have like 5 to 8% more in weight than my OTA assembly. So that's going to include camera, computers, all the crap I got hanging on the OTA.
Exactly.
I want to be about 5 to 10 pounds over, depending on the size of the OTA. Now, that's for that very large 152. So the 152 with everything I had on it, using the ASIR Pro, the camera, guide scope, I was at about 42 pounds, and I'm running right around 48 pounds of counterweight.
Yeah, and see, that's what I'm talking about, because I've got this monster of a filter wheel, and on top of, and using, so I have that, and I'm going to most likely I'm going to be using my GT71 as my guide scope, because it'll give me a good guiding ratio. So there's some extra weight there. So, I'm gonna probably be around what you're at, but maybe a little bit more because of that filter wheel.
You'll be a little bit more, even with the ASIR. Because you're gonna use the 294 more than likely.
Yeah, I'm gonna use them both. I'm gonna use the 294, both the mono and the color. Yeah, the swap between the two.
So, the weights are close. The 2600's a little bit heavier, but you'll probably make that up in the filter wheel. The other thing is you'll be heavier than me just using the GT71.
Yes.
Because I'm using a Orion 60 millimeter.
The 60,
yeah. Beautiful scope. They're not that expensive. There are a couple of different iterations out there. The Savoni is a really good one that's roughly the same price point. I went with the Orion just because to me, I just try to stay name brand if I can afford it. But I did all my guiding with that in a 290 Mini. Yeah. And it was phenomenal.
And
nice.
So, let me put this back here.
So Mark was asking what filter I was using on that, and yes, it was the L Pro. Those are 120-second frames, so there was 280 total 120 2-minute frames.
Yeah, because I'm looking on Telescopius right now, and I can't fit the entire triplet with the 294.
But you can. If you use a reducer.
Unless I rotate.
There you go. So that's part of why I went to the 2600, because for me to do it with the 533, I probably could have just barely made it in, but by the time it dithered, I wouldn't have gotten them all in. So it was a little too close, or I would have had to do a 1x2 mosaic to do the same thing. I'm like, why do mosaic if I've already got a camera that would fit them in frame natively? So I switched over to the 2600 MC, and the just ran them dithered. I'll probably crop it in a little bit tighter, of course. Might even crop it to almost 1:1 because I've got enough space. Aspect ratio to make it more like the 533. But
And that's another thing I'm looking forward to, even using the 533 with this.
Yep.
And I'll just put the L Pro. I'm thinking of swapping out, just opening, I'll have to, because I have to take the entire scope down anyway when I'm swapping everything out. I'm probably going to open up the filter wheel and swap out my standard UVIR luminance filter and put in the L Pro and just keep that as my luminance filter. Because that's basically what it is. That's what it is. It's a luminance pro filter.
Yeah.
So yeah. But no, I'm looking forward to even using that 533 because I've seen some, just using Telescopius and doing some looks. I'm gonna get some great magnification.
Well, and so I did a series. I'm not at a point I can show any of those off yet because they're really rough. But I did some stuff on M101, M81, M51, and there was one other in the series that I did that were just straight up 533 L Pro with the 152 Explore Scientific flattener, no reducer. So I was using my Hotech SCA. So put me out at about 1158 millimeter total focal length. And was able to get those nebula, or galaxies, which for me were typically just a blip. Now filled like 70% of frame, so it was a phenomenal step up. And I don't have to do a ton of cropping, so I have a ton of data there, and it was very versatile. Yeah,
and you doing the pinwheel or the whirlpool, even if I do M33, M33 is going to look huge.
Well, so. I mean, most because I showed it off last week. I've got the Explore Scientific 140 that's going to become my new scope. So first light on it, I'm going to target the M33 Triangulum Galaxy.
Good choice.
Probably with the L Pro and the 533 for a little bit more. I want to say more zoom, but it's not more zoom. I'm just looking at a narrow field of view. But for
and you're getting better. It's a narrow field, but you are getting that magnification still.
Yeah. So my focal length doesn't change. None of that really alters at all. All I'm doing is looking at a narrower slice. The other benefit to that, especially if you're dealing with vignetting and things like that, you never see vignetting with that 533 because it's in such a narrow window of the sweet spot of the glass that it really it's a phenomenal piece of hardware.
Yeah, it is. I really like the 533.
I just wish that it had the built-in do like the 2600.
Yeah. Because the 2600 does have that built-in IR, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And the built-in dew heater.
Yeah, that built-in dew heater's nice. The other thing that the 2600 or the 2600 has that the 533 doesn't is the tilt plate, which will helpful in your situation with the SCT, being able to make the adjustments to that plane.
That's been the struggle with a lot.
That's been the bane of your existence for months.
Yeah, that's been a tough one, and it's crazy. I have, for this entire winter, I've only been using the 127 because I've just been working on 2 specific projects, and then the weather got so bad, I didn't have a chance to move anything around and swap out as I normally would, like I would have maybe done in the spring or even last winter. When it was pretty decent, I was able to move and be more versatile and swap out scopes, a bit more. So I've been getting a lot of use out of this 127 this winter. That's been the only scope that's been on that mount. So, but no, once
nothing.
Yeah, but once I get this 152 on, man, it's going to be a blast because I've been looking forward to some high magnification, so this is going to be shut up. Shut up.
God, look, he comes on after being off for an hour and start flaunting some stuff, man.
Starts floating around these freaking Antilles. Silence!
Yeah. Quiet.
How
So
dare
while you were
Yes, yes,
gone,
we see
Tyler, I was showing off my Leo trio. We don't hear you. You're muted, Tyler.
Yes, that's why we like them, muted.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, exactly. Can't hear a word you're saying.
Here's what you're doing.
Keep talking. Exactly, that's good.
You're on. I can't hear you.
You gotta plug in the mic, man.
Yeah, you have to plug in the microphone.
Yes, hey, it says his mic's on. I've got him turned on, and I'm not hearing him.
This is like Laurel and Hardy.
Stupid. Oh, there he is.
Oh wait, yeah, there you go. You got him.
There he is.
Gotta love the bloopers on the show.
Mark's gonna be pissed.
Why?
For George Lutch, Antilla discontinued their LRGB filters and will not be coming out with any new ones.
and will be coming out.
Will not. Oh,
No, will be.
will be coming out. Oh, well.
And will be, yeah, they're coming out with new ones. So you're the one that's going to be pissed because you're the one that's going to
You
get
want the old generation. They're going to be 2.5 nanometer.
They're
Parfocal.
freaking LRGB. Whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Who cares?
Exactly.
It ain't gonna matter. Mark,
That's gonna be
$450
good just the same.
yours.
There you go.
$450, Mark. Strike you a deal. Oh,
But
yeah, no, George, I haven't got those yet. They're on order though.
what, the narrowband, the pros?
Yeah, I'm waiting on the O3s
Yeah.
to blast it.
Yeah, well,
it is what it is.
I'm probably going to have to sell a kidney, or put on a second mortgage to get some 2-inch, Antilla Pros.
Oh yeah,
Eric, you can at least you can get the narrow or the LRGBs, that I have right here for $350.
Yeah, sure.
350 or 450.
You just said 450.
No, that was for Mark. That was for Mark. That's a Mark Ellis price.
Yeah.
These are just $350.
Yeah, that's not too bad. But because I was looking at the 3 nanometer HA, and that was just around 500.
Yeah.
They're 480 a pop.
Okay. For the 2-inch, and because that's all I'm using now.
For the
That's
2-inch,
all I'm going to be using.
Yeah, I was like,
especially with this beast of a filter wheel I got, so I have really no other choice.
I think my 36 millimeters were 330, 330 each.
Yeah.
If I remember right.
So,
which I don't understand because they're 330 each.
My FHO, so
yeah. So they're 330 each for whatever reason, and OPT charged me $1,000 and $1,000 even with some change. So I don't know how that works out, but
In their favor. That's how it works out.
yeah. Well, they also just sent me a bill for my first installment, and I haven't received the filters yet. So I don't get that, but whatever.
I love bread.
Just one thing as far as the I don't know how much time we got going left because I can't see the clock.
We got about half an hour.
18 minutes. So Southern Sky Challenge. Now, for those of you that have donated to the Southern Sky Challenge, you have received an email from me with a password to the password protected part of the site, which will get you into the not only the schedule of when we will be taking data or when the data should be coming available. It will also be the holding spot for at the bottom of the page. Actually, if I could, I wasn't planning on doing this, so if I could kind of do this real quick, and I'll throw it on. Let's see, and just so you can see it. Let me grab it up real quick, and you're able to get all the data that you need, and it will tell you where to get it from. So give me 1 second.
You're fine. Sorry, I was on the phone with Simon Lewis trying to do some things get some things in the works.
Oh no!
Always working.
You're always doing something.
I am. Got to keep my fingers in everything.
All right, so I'm gonna share the screen here real quick.
Image of this email that you sent me.
No, you should have it.
No, I get thousands of emails a day. So
No, I hear you. Where to go? All right, so if you go to the AstroWorld Southern Sky Challenge and the contests, you'll see a link right here. It says, if you're a part of the contest and you received your password, click here. Click here. Put in the password that you received. And there is the congratulations for your contributor to Challenge 1. The files will be available. Here's the schedule as it stands right now. Okay, so it's going to be a total of 6.5 hours so far.
is it going to be with the scope that we tried to get?
Yep.
Because you said they took
Yep.
it down.
Nope, they're both
Okay.
back up. Yep, so it'll be the
Did
same
they give you a
scale.
reason? Did they give
They
you a
were just
reason
doing
why
some
they took it
maintenance
down
on
to
those
begin
two
with?
scopes. No, they said they were just doing some maintenance on those two scopes.
Okay. Makes sense then.
Yeah.
Makes sense. I figured it had to be
Because
something
I
simple.
guess- Yeah, no, there was nothing wrong with them. I mean, they were just doing some sort of maintenance on them, and that's it.
Speaking of maintenance, when you for maintenance,
What's that?
when you going to send me yours for a maintenance?
I think it's going to be
Let's
sent
go.
tomorrow.
Just
Yeah, so
update me
I'm
with
looking at the
tracking
case
the way
right here.
Okay. Again, just send me tracking so I can keep track of it.
Oh yeah, of course,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah.
When it
And,
gets here, I can grab
again,
it.
I don't know if it
Turn around.
needs a collimation. I just
I'm gonna do it anyway.
It's been over a
If
year.
I have to take out the lens cell, I already have to collimate it. That's
Yeah.
just what I do.
Yep. No, and you know what? You're the
That's-
only one that I know that actually does it, and I don't even trust myself to do it. I'll collimate everything
It's
else, and
not-
I'll clean everything else.
Not that hard.
I'm sure it's not, but I also don't have a workbench with an artificial star. So I mean, I don't have the proper material to do it.
So we have a double pass, a single pass, and an actual artificial star.
I know you do.
So the double pass over accentuate. If there's any issues, it's gonna make it 10 times worse. So I know what to work on. Then the single pass is obviously just a single pass. And I have a
So if it was between you and me, who's going to get the better result? There you go.
Exactly.
So that's why I'm sending it to you. And again, my images come out good, but you work on refractors all day. I don't. Therefore, I'm tapping your expertise here.
Well, again, I can promise you that it'll be clean when it leaves. I cannot promise you it'll be clean when it arrives.
Oh no, yeah, no, dude. I trust me. I know how that goes. I had. Let me tell you. So I had a guy that sent me an 8-inch Schmidt from. I want to say it was Ireland. To
Holy
clean
crap.
and collimate. He shipped it from Dublin.
Holy
so
crap.
we could clean and collimate it on Long Island. Whatever. Don't know why. Don't get it.
Don't know. I just into FLO or something.
Whatever. I don't know. He sent it to us. And so, it's an 8-inch Schmidt. It's not hard to do. The mirror wasn't marked. I marked the mirror. I made sure everything was good. Clean the primary. Clean the secondary. Put the secondary back on. I actually went in and I blew out, hand pumped before I put the secondary on. And then I looked inside. There was no dust, no nothing on the inside. And, I finished cleaning the front. I collimate it. And I get done. I put the lens cap back on and send it back to Dublin. I get an email from Dublin, I guess about a week and a half, 2 weeks later, saying, yeah, I got the scope back, but, it's collimating and it works great, but there's dust on the front of the secondary.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm like, dude, really? It just traveled like 4,000 miles.
It's not a complete. It's not a complete sealed unit.
Yeah, so yeah, I didn't vacuum seal his case. So so
that was your problem.
So there's only so much you could do unless if you're when you're in a non-static room and you're doing like these cleaning and collimation stuff, and I'm and I'm doing it in an office. I don't have the. I guess at the store, I don't have the clean rooms, I guess they would call it, that many other people have. I am very careful, and I know what I'm doing, and I know how to clean and make sure everything is good to go. But if there's some like fuzz on the front of the secondary because something just flew in there while I put the lens cap on, I can't help that. Just get a hand blower and pump. That's it.
I don't even know if I don't even think that all the big like Celestron and all them have a clean room. I really don't.
No, I don't think they do.
Nobody does. Maybe at the factory. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, probably at the factory. Who?
Maybe
Intel will.
Yeah, well, no, Intel does. They have a clean room. They have an anti-static room.
But the problem with most not manufacturers, but like for us, we have people coming in and out, in and out, in and out. It's like, and I've already had to put a stop on it. It's like, yeah, quit. Call the number. Stop coming in.
Yep.
This
that makes sense.
Room is here for a reason. Stop coming in it.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. That's why I'm talking to Jeff over at Camera Concepts to build the workbench.
It's not that hard. Just go have him spend $500. Get a frickin' gladiator bench that's 6 feet tall, 4 feet wide, and you're good.
Yeah. Yep. That's all.
Even you can put it together.
Even me. I am the most inept mechanically person ever.
He'll make Jeff do it. Don't worry about it.
No,
Jeff,
we'll both hire Miguel to do it.
There you go.
You've got these new toys.
Okay.
You've got a new pier.
Mm-hmm.
What are you putting on the pier? What mount's going on the pier, man?
I picked up the Ioptron 70G.
Okay.
CEM70. I actually opened the box 2 days ago.
Yep.
Okay.
You're still experiencing snow. I'm waiting for the ground to completely dry out before I put something on that's because it'll shift easily with all the wet grass. Then I'm gonna put that together. I'm probably gonna do a video on it because I haven't done one in the past 2 weeks because I've been lazy. And then do a video of what I've got the past month and a half.
Okay.
Oh my God, that's gonna be like 9 videos. I mean, come on.
No, it'll be more than 9.
Maybe more than 9.
Hey, I was trying to be. That TV does each individual filter.
We gotta say. Oh, well, he's got weights and tri-pier and a mount and the OTA and another OTA and a Eagle.
And another OTA.
Another OTA. Oh, and a beautiful. I was told yesterday, and I almost cried to Jason when I found out on the email. ASCAR is not running any more productions until April on the 400. Like, oh God. So I gotta wait a while.
Oh wow.
Before that.
I think I see Dan going like this.
Yeah,
I'm
right?
not even doing that. That'd be too much effort.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you've waited, 8 months to get an Esprit 120?
Let's see. It's been exactly. Let's see.
Have you gotten
November?
Have you gotten any kind of confirmation?
January, February. Oh, it's ordered and it's in process. So
They send them
It's
a shipping label,
March.
but they don't have it.
4 months and 12 days.
It'll be so basically here. It'll be 5 months, 5 or 6 months before you see it.
I certainly hope. Well, yeah. In total, yeah, probably March, April, I would think.
Yeah. Well, then I got a camera. Then I got a filter wheel. Because I mean, I had to be like Eric and get the giant pancake that's about the size of my head.
I can't,
That will hold all
Tyler.
my
I
filters.
can't with you. I can't. It's just
That's
ridiculous.
part of why he's on here.
There she is.
There she is, little Miss
And
Abby.
white.
They're saying hi to you.
Hi.
Tyler is silly.
Tyler is silly. Yeah, he's a big goofball, huh?
Yeah, we spend a lot of time on the phone with Tyler at this house, and that's a good thing.
Ah.
We like Mr. Tyler. Can you say hi to Mr. Dan?
Oh,
and
you
Mr.
got
Eric?
those.
Hi, Mr. Dan and Mr. Eric.
Hi. How you doing, Abigail?
Good.
Good.
You ready for bed?
Getting ready for bed, huh?
So,
Abby, we promoted you.
yep, you
Yes.
got promoted. Guess what? I'll let Mr. Dan tell you.
You're the
I'm going
you're
to
the
end
lucky
the
numbers.
show tonight.
Hold on, he's gonna tell you something.
What happened?
No, she said she's gonna end the show, but Mr. Dan.
I know, and that's what's making you the lucky number 7th member of AstroWorld.
You're the 7th co-host.
I wanted to be first place.
Well, you are first place in our house.
You're always first
I don't-
place. So
I'm gonna keep.
you're just the
trying to
7th member, but you're
be
actually
place
first.
to win the trophy.
She's all about
You
winning.
got it.
You're the cutest one. You're the cutest member anyway.
So thank you,
That-
Mr. Dan.
Definitely cuter than
Mr. Dan
And Mr.
Tyler.
Eric.
and Mr. Eric.
So,
You're welcome.
are you
Yeah.
guys ready, or do we have a couple more things to say before we call it quits?
No, I'm just waiting for this thaw to finish up. I want to clear out the snow.
Oh, we got another flyer.
Hugh Jackson.
There's Jack. Jack want a cookie?
There he is. Oh my gosh. Look at him.
Now he's floating away.
Floating in space.
Bless you.
It's the weightless baby.
Well, we are in space.
We are in
Oh
space.
my goodness. He is. Look at those cheeks.
Oh, he's a chunker, just like his daddy.
Oh my goodness.
That's funny. Aw.
Oh yeah.
That's funny.
Had you giving me a wedgie?
Well, that happens when you sit
Oh.
on one leg. Okay. So, guys, you ready for her to
Yeah,
close
yeah.
the show?
Yeah.
Yeah, you
You
ready?
ready? You're gonna look
Do
right
it.
at the camera.
Go for it, Abby. Look at the camera.
Go ahead.
Keep imaging, keep educating, and clear skies. We'll see you next time on AstroWorld TV.
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent.
That's awesome. Great job. Great job.
Oh.